Hey everybody, Danny Mod here. Thanks for joining us. This week we're going to cover how do you hit the ball straight. I've been doing quite a few videos over the last few weeks on how you generate more yards in your game, but there's no point in smashing the ball miles if you find your drives heading into the trees or you're missing those greens. Well, you're going to need to know, in order to get that ball straight, the people who hit it the straightest are the people who can get that club face squared up at impact on a more consistent basis. And it comes down to a couple of things. It comes down clearly to the club face, what you're doing with the club face, how you move this face during the swing, and also how you move the shoulders. We're going to cover all of that in this week's training. So before we do, if you're new to the channel and this is one of your first videos, consider subscribing. I release content like this every single week to try and help you improve your game. So what have we got? Well, look, if you want to hit it straight, you know that club face, you're going to learn to get that club face much squarer at impact. Now, the grip makes the most difference. I'm not going to talk about the grip in this week's training, but make sure there's enough information out there at the moment on how to grip a golf club. Make sure you've got a fairly neutral grip. If you don't have a neutral grip, it is the starting point. It's very difficult to get the club face squared up. So if you have a neutral grip and you're still not able to square the club face up on a regular basis, it's likely down to one of these two things. So those people who are unable to square the club up on a regular basis tend to have a lot of wrist roll. So they tend to be rolling their wrists on the way back and rolling them on the way through. That leads to a very unstable golf swing, and it's hard to square the club face up. What we want to do is we need to learn, therefore, is if we're not going to roll, what are we supposed to do? So the exercise I want you to do, I want to teach you basically now how the wrists work in the golf swing. All right, so how they cock and how the wrists and the shoulders work. We'll start with the wrist first. So what I want you to do is just grab a golf club, and what I want you to do here is this. We're going to literally allow the wrist to hinge here. This is the correct cocking motion. It's what happens in the golf swing. Cocking here, then there's an arm movement as the club starts to complete its backswing, and then there's a shoulder motion just to kind of finish the job off. All right, that is basically how the shoulders, the wrists, the arms and the shoulders work in the backswing. So actually we start in this position because it's just the easiest one to visualize initially and easiest ones to feel. So you're cocking your wrists a little bit here, your arms are moving up and your shoulders are moving up. Now from here what happens is this, watch this. The shoulders then sit down into position, the arms come down and the wrists uncock, right? So now what we want to do is, how do we, with all that in mind, how do you then apply that to the actual golf swing? Well, look at it from this angle to start off with. So we've got a wrist cock, we've got our arm lift, and we've got a shoulder motion. If I was to now simply rotate to position, I've now found the perfect top of the backswing position there. So that's your destination. Question is, how do we get there? So let's start off with this first move. Most people, when they take the club away, as you know, I've done this many times before, they tend to roll the wrists. What we want to do is resist that urge. Now I'm going to put a video up in this corner here on to help you with the takeaway in this motion, because it will really help. I'm not going to go too much into detail here. I've got plenty of videos that will show you exactly how to do that. But what we want to do is we want to resist any roll to start off with, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to move the club straight back here in one single line. The hand path is stood very close to my legs here, and I'm absolutely in a rock solid position. From there, this is when that previous exercise now comes in. So what we want to do now is this. We're now simply just going to let the wrists hinge up, and hey presto, we've now got the top of the backswing position. That is it, nothing more than that. A lot of people get this wrong because they're often feeling that they have to turn. So that interpretation of turn gets hands going around, it gets their body going around in this position. Again, I have some more training, more detailed training on how to turn up here, so have a quick look at that. But today we're really focusing just on how to square this club face. So we're moving into takeaway here. From here there's just a simple wrist cock up into the sky here. Question is, what happens next? Well, this is when the shoulders come in. You've got the wrist working correctly now, but what happens to the shoulders? Most people here with the shoulders do one or two things. They either move into this position, so they roll in the shoulders into there, or the common one obviously with the slicers is they roll it around here. Now what did we see with this action? The shoulders do what? They sit down, this into the body. So watch this. Once we've gone into this position here and we simply got that sensation, what we're then going to do, watch this, we're sitting the shoulders down into position here. They're sitting back onto the chest and then simply return back to impact. So it looks like this. Straight back, cock up, and we're sitting down and back into impact. All right, now we got a few greenkeepers just turned up, so I can't hit any shots onto the green at the moment. So pause for a second, I'll wait for these guys to go, and then we'll get cracking again. So green is clear, let's have a look at this in action. Now the best way to work on this, I think, is just in a couple of steps. So you want to get the feeling of the correct wrist motion, and we know we don't want to roll initially. So what we're going to do is we're not necessarily going to have to be able to work on both the shoulder motion and the wrist together. So don't worry too much about that. So let's do one at a time. What we're going to do is the first thing we're going to do is going to get you in the correct takeaway position. So we're going to move the club away, straight here. No stage there's been any roll there, so we're going to literally move the club away here. At this stage, all we're going to do now is get the same feeling as we had there. We're going to feel the wrist start to cock here as we rotate back up. Now from there, we're simply going to practice bringing the club back down in position. So if you were to just get the correct backswing initially, that would be a really good start. So it's one from here, cock up and through. Right? That would be the way I would start. So I wouldn't care where the ball's gone initially. All I'm interested in doing right now is simply getting you to feel the correct motion on the way back. So no wrist roll there, no wrist roll there, it's just a pure cock up, and then we're going to simply bring the club back down into position. So let's have another look at this. So one, back, pause for a second, cock up, bring back down. Okay, now that is exactly how I would do it in that speed. The other thing, I released a video last week, which provides a really great drill to help you feel this, which you can do at home as well. I'll put that in the top left hand corner here, which was this one. So this helps as well, doing exactly the same thing. So watch how this drill kind of relates to this subject. We're pushing back here, there's no wrist roll. As we move the palms to the sky, I'll try to move the palms to the sky here, that is the wrist cock. Great thing to do at home, yeah? Push back, there you go, palms to sky, roll down. Again, more detail that in the other video there, but this was a really great feeling here to try to create that motion. The other thing I've got here is a little training aid. This is an old wedge of mine, and what I've done here is I've put a putter grip on the wedge itself. Now the great thing about the putter grip is it's got a flat top on it, and what this enables you to do here is just an easy way to feel where the wrists are cocking, and also because it's flat, it can help you feel where square is and the club face square. Now, it's completely illegal, you can't use it in competitions, but it's a great training aid. So we get ourselves set here, we straight back, and then there's the flat bit. What we're going to do here is as we rotate back now, we're simply going to let that wrist hinge back into position and then back through. Let me show you here again, watch this. No wrist roll here, a simple cocking of the wrist here, so it's like bang, and then a simple cock in the wrist here, we're back in position. All right, so that's the wrist action. The shoulders, very straightforward. Again, you probably work on this separately. So what you get into position here, we're going to move back there, we're going to allow that to set, and then this is the next thing here. What do most people do? Good players will often get a little bit here. The slices of the world will tend to kind of roll the shoulders here. We want to practice just sitting those shoulders, just getting them back into position here. From there, let me show you from this angle. You're swinging back, you're allowing that wrist to set here, and then you're sitting the shoulders in position here to then bring them back into impact. So let's have a look at that in action. So nice simple takeaway. 1, 2, and then we're sitting the shoulders back into impact and through. Now I'm going to try and focus purely on that feeling, but again I'll probably break down the takeaway to make this easier. 1, and then from here it's going to cock up, sit down, and there we go. A very neutral face, going through the impact area. So this is something that I would say if you use in combination with the drill that I put out last week, which is this one that you can do at home, it will really kind of link the two together, and you'll learn the feeling of the correct motion. The key to getting that club face square, apart from obviously the grip, is you must reduce the amount of club roll. And secondly, in order to is shoulder roll. How do we do that? Well, you'll need to learn the correct feeling of the wrist hinge in the golf swing here and what's going on with the shoulders. The wrists work like this and the shoulders work like this. They go up and then they sit down. They don't roll around, and neither does the hands. We work on that in two phases. Phase one, develop a really solid takeaway. If you roll to start off with, all of it's gone. None of it will work. Then you're going to have to roll on the way through. So nice, good, solid takeaway to start off with. From there, you learn that sensation of the wrist starting now to cock up. This is the wrist cocking out, the arms coming up, and now the shoulders are up there in position. From there, the shoulders sit into position as we move back into impact. Takes a little bit of practice. Use this in the combination of a couple of those exercises I've shown you there, and it will really, really, really help get that club face nice and square at the moment of impact. So I really, really hope you enjoy this training. If you do, and you think some of your friends could do with a little bit more accuracy, then please share it. And of course, if you're new to the channel and this is one of your first videos, give it a subscribe. But until next week, have a great golfing week.